really out of client need. It is our environmental and sustainability program. And clients were coming to us and asking us specifically, how do we get a message out about our sustainability environmental practices? And what we realized as we started to peel the onion back and looked at what our clients were doing is we needed to work with them to provide a holistic approach. And it really didn't start with communications at all. It needed to start with their operations and what they were doing with their products, within the context of their plants if they happen to be a manufacturer, in their office buildings if they were a service company. And we looked closely at how they were actually operationally doing and what they were doing. And it was through that we began Ogilvy Earth, to first better understand operationally how and what they were doing, and then secondly, to develop messages that were authentic. So the authenticity of the programs within the context of Ogilvy Earth are first and foremost important. We have to ensure that what we're doing for our clients, we can actually prove. In today's world, it's expected of companies to have a green solution in their products and their services. It's no longer appropriate to ignore the environment. So for each and every company, they have to find what is authentic to them and then play it out and work through it so that what they actually do for the environment becomes reality. And then we can market in the environment, but not until we can't create a marketing program, a marketing message until the client is actually doing it. Every client in every sector needs to be thinking today about what they're doing to help the environment. I think we need to start and look at recovery and define it in a couple different categories. We need to look at physical recovery in terms of what happens to the land and how do companies rebuild. I think we need to look at psychological recovery because the Japanese people need to go through a period of psychological recovery. And I think there's also a broad sense of economic recovery. So we have to look at recovery in each one of those areas. And I think there's an opportunity for companies to play in one or all of those areas. But I think what's important when we look at recovery, we don't think of it, and companies shouldn't think of their CSR programs, their corporate social responsibility programs, narrowly and over a short period of time. I think the companies that have been successful in other disaster environments have thought about not just what they can do today, tomorrow, next week, next month. They've thought about what is the long-term impact they can have. So if they're an engineering company, how can they help? Take a look at the infrastructure that surrounds areas like that, and how can they improve that infrastructure? If they're a company that markets to children, should they think about what's the education of those children that have been orphaned in that environment? And how can they set up an educational fund? I think programs that have long-term solutions and think about helping people, not just today and tomorrow in terms of the food and shelter that they need, because my understanding is many of those situations in the short term have been taken care of. But the long-term implications of what's happened to the region, how people are going to relocate, how people are going to educate, where those children are going to go. Those long-term implications, I think there's a huge opportunity for companies to think what their role could be in creating a longer, sustainable CSR program that will really help in those communities that were so deeply affected.